Okay, so welcome back once again to this series of lectures on A Raisin in the Sun, a famous play by Lauren Hansberry. In the previous two lectures, we've talked about the first lecture was, of course, devoted to situating the text. In that lecture, we talked about the social, political, cultural background of the play, the context of the play. We discussed the context of the playwright, the issues of that particular time. That was what the first lecture was all about. The second lecture was actually about the discussion of the characters. We talked about the different characters of this play. We talked about some of the salient features of these characters. And in this particular lecture, we are going to talk about the plot structure, the summary, so to speak, of the play act-wise. This is a three-act play. The action of the play is divided into three acts. So before we launch on to talk about the actions, the action of the play, let us take a brief recap of the key characters of the play. So I've already told you that this play is a story of a family, Younger's family. There are three generations of that family. The first generation is represented by the matriarch of the family, Mama Younger. She has a son and a daughter. The name of her son is Walter Younger, who is married to Ruth. And then Mama has a daughter who the name of that daughter is Benita Younger, an aspiring doctor, an activist. Walter is a chauffeur who's leading a very unhappy life, and as a result of that, Ruth has also become a very unhappy person, and their married life is undergoing a deep crisis. And Walter and Ruth, they have a son. Name of that son is Travis Younger. Then the only white character in the play is Carl Linder. And what kind of role is he going to play? We'll be talking about that role in the next discussion. Then there are some minor characters such as Joseph Assegai, George Murchison, the neighbors, and Walter's friends. So these are some of the characters. So now let us look at the development of the story, act-wise. The first act is the act where you come to know about who these people are, what kind of life they are leading, and what their dreams are. So when our play opens, the setting of the play is a ghetto in Chicago, a cramped apartment where the Youngers are living. All five members of the family are living under the same roof, and the major change which takes place in their life is that Mama's husband, Walter Sr., who never appears on the stage because he's dead before the action of our play starts. So he's died, and the family is going to receive an insurance sum because he had drawn in an insurance on his life, and the family is going to receive 10,000 American dollars, which is a huge amount even today, and our play is situated in the 1950s, so back then it was also a huge amount. So the Younger family is awaiting that payment, that insurance check, which they are going to receive, and each member of the family has a dream. The title of the play, let me remind you that the title of the play, A Raisin in the Sun, actually is taken from that wonderful poem by Langston Hughes. The title of that poem is Dream Deferred. So this particular play is also a play about dreams and what happens to the dreams. So the $10,000 which they are going to receive, in fact, Mama is going to receive that amount because she is the nominee of the claim. She is the nominee of that particular policy, and so each of them has a dream which they want to fulfill out of the sum which they are going to receive. For example, Mom. Now, what is her dream? Mama wants to buy a house, a proper home to improve the family's cramped living conditions. Mama younger, the matriarch of the family, she wants to invest that some part of that amount to buying a decent house because they are living in a ghetto. They are living in a cramped apartment, and she wants that she has had difficult life, but her next generations should have a decent chance at life, and that is why she is planning to buy a house with that amount which they are going to receive. And in fact, her dream of buying a house is a result of two forces. The first force, of course, her late husband always wanted that they should have a decent house. Unfortunately, in his lifetime, that dream was never fulfilled. But now she wants to fulfill, she wants to respect the wishes of her late husband and wants to buy a house. That's one force. But the most important force is that she wants her grandson to live in a decent atmosphere. She wants them to have a good life, and that is why she wants to buy a house out of that money. That is Mama's dream. The son of the family, Walter, who is working as a chauffeur and who's leading a very unhappy and very unsatisfied life, he wants to invest that money into a liquor store which will ensure that they will become rich people. So he wants to invest the entire amount in a liquor store, and he's already in talks with some of his friends, some of his notorious friends, who have promised him that they will crack a deal for him out of that money. So that is Walter's dream. Then Benitha, who is Mama's daughter, Walter's sister, she is the representative of that young, aspiring, radical generation of the Afro-American population of the 1950s and 60s. She wants to put that money towards her medical school tuition. She wants to become a doctor, and so she wants to achieve, she wants to fulfill her dream of becoming a doctor by means of using that particular amount. And then there is Ruth, who's an exhausted, quietly worried, who's burdened by their tiny apartment and an unexpected pregnancy now. There's another character in the family, Ruth, who's married to Walter. Now Ruth is also leading a very unhappy life because her husband is unhappy and their married life is undergoing a huge crisis. Ruth wants that she doesn't have a dream of her own actually. She wants that Mama should give that amount to Walter so that he can fulfill his dreams, and once he fulfills his dreams, he will have two things in his life which he was lacking: confidence and happiness. It will make him a confident person and it will turn him into a happy person. So her dream is actually a dream. She doesn't want to do with that amount which the family is going to receive for her own sake, but she expects that amount to be handed over to Walter, and Walter would be able to start a business, and that would change things for him, and as a result of that, that would change things for their married life. So Ruth doesn't have her own dream, but with the money as such, but her dream is that her husband should become a happy person, a confident person. So the news that they are going to receive that amount sets the ball of action of this play rolling basically. And if you study further, then one comes to notice that there are certain frustrations, that then there are certain tensions which are inherent in the family. For example, Walter. Now Walter feels deeply frustrated and unappreciated at home, clashing bitterly with both Mama and Ruth over money and ambition. As we've already talked about Walter's character, who's working as a chauffeur, and he wants to invest that money for his liquor store, and he always thinks that his job as a chauffeur is a job of humiliation. His job of a chauffeur is a very undignified job, and as a result of the frustration which he experiences at his workplace, he has become a very bitter person, and that bitterness is taken out by him on other members of the family, and he always thinks that all his hard work, all his efforts go unappreciated by the family members. Mama doesn't appreciate his hard work. Even Ruth doesn't appreciate his hard work and his frustration. That is what Walter thinks. So Walter is a seething person. Then Mama has certain dreams to fulfill. Another element of this play, that which actually makes the tension rise up is Ruth's secret. Now Ruth is pregnant at the end of Act first scene first. Ruth faints, and when the second scene begins, she's been to the doctor, and she has decided on aborting the baby. Now, why does she want to abort the baby? Because as it is, the family is undergoing huge financial distress, and she does not want another unhappy person in the family, and that is why she is secretly considering abortion, a desperate reflection of how dire their circumstances have become. So that also adds to the tension, which rises up in the play. And then, of course, Mama's bold move. When the money finally comes, the amount finally comes, Mama makes a decision on her own, and she goes and she uses a certain portion, so a significant portion of that amount as a down payment on a house in Clivon Park, a white neighborhood, sparking both hope and fear. So Mama's bold move of putting a down payment on a house in which which is zeroed in on, which is situated in Clivon Park, which is, do remember, is a white only neighborhood, and the historical milieu of this play is civil rights movement. So Mama's move not only creates tensions in the family where the members of the family are divided by their different wishes, but at the same time, her decision of buying a house in the whites only neighborhood creates tension between these two communities, because it is still the America of segregation, do remember that. And so the dreams of these different people come into conflict. Mama wants to buy a house, wants to give some amount to Benita so that she can pursue her medicine. Walter wants the entire amount so that he can start a liquor business. Ruth wants her husband to be a happy person. Now, Mama's move has actually brought their dreams into conflict with one another, and that makes Walter a very unhappy person. So this is how the situation is laid out in Act First. So Act First very skillfully brings out different characters in front of you. It creates their world before the audiences, and at the same time it makes clear their motivations, and it also creates that tension, because now everybody is kind of falling apart because they have certain dreams to fulfill. Now Act Second, when it starts, it is full of challenges and conflicts. The first, of course, is Walter's investment plan. Walter partners with Bobo and Billy Harris, intending to invest a portion of that insurance money into the liquor store venture. As we already know that Walter wants the entire amount to himself. He says that that amount is required so that he can invest that amount. He's already in talks with these two nefarious characters, Bobo and Billy Harris, who have actually promised him, to crack a deal for him, and that is why he wants that amount to himself. But when mama makes a down payment on the house, so a portion of that amount is gone. Now when she comes home and when she breaks the news to the family, that makes Walter very unhappy, and mama realizes that though she wants a family to be happy family, she has in a way antagonized, she has in a way hurt Walter's feelings, and hence she's paid $3,500 as a down payment. So the remaining amount she hands over to Walter, and she says that a certain portion of this amount should be deposited to the bank so that Benitha can fulfill her dreams of pursuing medicine, and remaining amount is given to Walter so that Walter can start his business or whatever. And Walter makes a fateful decision, makes a fateful choice. Instead of depositing Ruth's portion into the bank, he hands over the entire amount to these two notorious characters who were going to crack a deal of a liquor store for him. He hands over that amount to these two people. And when Billy Harris disappears with all the investment money, which is a devastating blow that shatters Walter's dream and his sense of manhood. And Billy Harris runs away with the entire amount. Now, neither his dream of starting the liquor business materializes, nor does his moral responsibility of keeping certain amount for his sister's education is fulfilled. And as a result of this betrayal, Walter, who as it is facing tremendous problems in his life, he is completely shattered by this betrayal, and so not only his dream gets destroyed, but his sense of manhood is also destroyed by this betrayal. Now, the third important aspect of this act is Benitha's journey. Benitha, a young girl, there are two suitors for Benitha. The first is George Murchison, who's a wealthy black American young man. And there is another character in the play who's actually a Nigerian student who has come to study in the United States of America. Now the entire younger family wants Benitha to get settled down with George Murchison because George is rich. But Benitha, as we've already discussed, represents that young generation, that young radical generation who believes in the dignity of life greatly, who always would prefer the dignity over the material comfort. And here I'm reminded of that famous line from that great Afro-American scholar and activist W.E.B. Du Bois, who said, yes, the Negro needs food and shelter, but he must be able to talk to the stars as well. Please pardon the gender politics inherent in the choice of the pronouns, but as Hegel has taught us that everybody is the product of one's time. So this new generation of the Afro-Americans believe in the dignity of life, and that is why when the choice comes, because for Benitha the choice is between George Murchison and Assaghai. Now George Murchison, rich but a very hollow person, politically not committed, a typical class formation. And the second person is Assaghai, who encourages Benitha to embrace her African heritage and identity. So more politically inclined character. And so Benitha has to make a choice between these two. So look at each and every character as to how they are making choices. They are standing at a crossroad and they have to make choices in their life. So this is how the tension in the play actually builds up. And so another force which comes into the play is actually Karl Linder, the only white character in the play. Karl Linder, who represents the Claiborne Park Improvements Association. And when the society comes to know that a black lady has made a down payment on the house in the whites only uh, society, Karl Linder, who represents that face of racism, the face of segregation, which was present in America in those days, he arrives to he arrives to meet these youngers. Now, unfortunately, because of the betrayal, the money is gone. Now the youngers find themselves in a predicament. Neither can they buy the house because they just made the down payment. The remaining amount is not to be have. Nor their son, who was going to start the liquor business, is a successful person because he has lost the money. So at that particular juncture, Karl Linder comes to visit the youngers. He pays them a visit, and he actually offers them money. And he says that in return of that money, they will have to give up their claim on the house. They should stay where they are. So now the choice is between dignity and compromise, a humiliated life. So Linder comes up with that kind of offer. He offers the family a financial payout, essentially buying them out to prevent black family from moving into the white neighborhood. Now the debate, Karl Linder arrival and his offer actually gives rise to the huge debate in the family. The family is completely torn. Walter, who has lost the money, he wants to jump at the offer, wants to accept the amount so that they all can salvage their condition in some way or the other because it's all gone. And there are other members who think otherwise. So that this particular offer gives rise to this kind of a debate in the family. And the resolution to this debate, now the family is completely divided. Walter wants to accept the offer. The family is quite in a desperate state. Whatever amount they had received as an insurance payment, now that amount is lost forever. And hence, so the choice is to be made by the family. And Walter actually undergoes a change in the play, and he says that I don't want money, and he chooses the family dignity and pride over the financial compromise. Now this choice made by Walter is a key moment in the play which talks about the politics of the play and which talks about some of the important ideas which are associated with this play. Now the resolution in the whole, despite the heartbreak and loss, the younger family finds its footing. They choose courage over comfort. Milton in Paradise Lost says that famous line, it is better to reign in hell than to serve in paradise. And so they gather the courage and they want to go ahead. So the move which they make, the move goes ahead despite losing the money. The youngest resolve to move into their new home, defiant act of hope. Now the money is gone. The neighborhood is pretty hostile. The neighborhood is not going to accept them peacefully, and so their future is full of uncertainties of all kind and all nature. And despite of that, the youngers, united as they are, they make a decision, a very radical decision, that they want to move into their new house, their new home, which is a defiant act, because the play doesn't talk about what happened to the youngers after they moved into the whites only community. It doesn't talk about that. but it ends at a point where they make a choice, they make a decision. Okay, so this is an act of defiance, I should say. Now, their decision of moving to the new house, the person who plays a very important role in coming to that particular decision is Walter. So, this is Walter's redemption. Walter as a character, if you look at his development right from seeing first to the last act, you would see that his arc is completed. The arc of redemption is completed. You get to see Walter as a very self-centered person, a person who even denies that his sister should take medical education, and he in fact advises her to do womanly things, right? So this person who is not a very sympathetic husband, one who is a very dreamy kind of a person. He thinks that dignity as a man is very important, dignity as a father is very important, and he plays a very important role in making that decision. And so this is how Walter redeems himself. This is a very interesting arc of development of a particular character. Mama's dream of buying a house in order to fulfill the dream of her husband and in order to ensure a better future for their next generation, that is also fulfilled by making this decision. And Benitha contemplates about moving to Africa with assegai, her identity and medical aspirations now intervene. So Benitha also makes a choice towards the end of the play, and so this is very important thing. Now the important question which this play actually brings up is what happens to the dreams. As I was talking about the title of the play, I told you that this is taken from that very famous poem where the line is, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like raisin in the sun? So has the dream dried up, or has the family stood up and risen to the occasion, and they want to fulfill their dream? So their dreams actually talk about certain important ideas. The dreams of the youngers, they reflect humanity. The dreams of the youngers, they actually choose dignity over money, and it's a powerful state. And the play ends with no certainty. We don't know about their future, what might happen. They might be bombed out, they might be boycotted, they might face problems in future. But despite of all these things, despite of all these odds, the youngers, they make a decision and they stick to it. So this is how the play unfolds in a beautiful way. When I started this lecture, I said that the political literature or the literature of protest runs a huge risk of being overly didactic. This play is certainly doesn't belong to that particular category, and the credit should be given to Lauren Hansberg, who has very poignantly, very beautifully crafted this play and played out the aspirations, played out the politics of race through the dreams and aspirations of these characters in this play. I hope you would read the original play, and this summary would give you some pointers as to how to understand this play. Thank you very much for reading.